understand. Feel the sun touch your face. Find the time to embrace. Feel the breeze rustling through the trees as autumn starts to take its seas. Dance on first virgin snow as flakes begin to flow. Take 2 hours off, watch the world go by. Reach out, go and try to touch the sky. Be one with the world. Heal the soul that left you burned. Watch the spider build his web, entice the prey on which they live. Feel the sea waves brush your face. Watch the sun fade at an earlier pace. Silence starts without a scream. Precious time to let you breathe. Nothing simple as black and white. Most time darkest before the light.
Show, event, announcement, whatever you might call it. This is Vinyl Man Jebb. Before the podcast here, Edward Rogers was like, hey, can you add my new show coming out on August 26th? It's the release party for the album that we talk about on the podcast here, that you're about to listen to. Smash Palace is going to be there, and John Ford's going to be there as well. And Edward Rogers will be with the full band. I will be there as well as a guest. I got invited, so I'm very excited. So if you guys want to come down and meet Unlikely Places and Jebb and Green host as well, see a great show, tickets are $20 to $25. Let me tell you when it is. Thursday, August 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Doors are at 6, but the show starts at 7. And the location is at the Cutting Room in New York, 44 East 32nd Street. And that's in New York City. Very excited to be there. Thank you, Edward Rogers, for the invite. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Vinyl Man Jebb, and this is the Jebb and Green podcast. And we have Edward Rogers with us. Hey, Edward, how are you?
All right, mate. How are you doing?
Good. Excited to have you on the podcast. I'm
well,
excited to hear
thanks,
some
mate.
stories.
Where are you located? I think we just talked about it, but
yeah,
I want
I'm
to know
in Connecticut,
more.
USA, on the East Coast.
In
Where
the
are you?
USA. All right, that's a good place to be right now.
Yeah.
You know? I'm down on 9th Street and 3rd Avenue, which is known as the Joey Ramone building because Joey used to live there. So
Oh, very cool.
I'm like, I'm in a little studio, and I was messing around with some tapes and some poetry this morning, and then I realized we had our call, so I saved it all. And we'll go back to it, but this is my little den of inequity, and here I am. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's great to see you on video. It's one of the first times we're actually seeing guests on video, but couldn't sadly get the video out for the show. But we got the audio. That's always fun. But I
even dry clean my shirt for you, mate.
I know.
Put on a loud shirt and everything, you know.
Oh, maybe I'll take a picture before we go off. I'll put the picture on our.
You
page.
better, because this thing costs money. Look.
Yeah, I got. See, I'm wearing my. I don't know. My mom said I looked like I was. I had to go to the dentist this morning. I look like I don't know, safari.
You look
like
you look like you left a piece of the tooth there.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'll start off with when did you start playing music?
I've been around a long time, so I think I started playing drums. Was influenced by Clem Burke, so I'd say about 77 as a drummer, and but I always had like singing and songwriting in the back of my mind, you know. But Clem Burke was an influence to me, and actually, believe it or not, it was a guy by the name of Dave Clark, who was the Dave Clark 5, probably before you or your mother was born, and so I had that as an influence, and started, you know, somebody just came in and he was having trouble with his girlfriend, and he said, I'm going to buy you a drum kit and you're going to be the drummer in my band because you look like a drummer. And I went, okay, you know, there we go. So became a drummer, and not very good one. But then I had an accident, and
oh no,
I lost, I lost my leg, so I couldn't drum anymore, or keep in time anyway. So anyway, someone gave me advice and said, you're getting to be a really good songwriter, but and if you work on it, you can also get your vocals in tune. So it took 3 hours. No, I didn't take 3 hours. It took 3 years, excuse me, of voice exercises, and I still do them every day, an hour, and so I put about 3 or 4 hours a day into music, into working the music, depending on what the vibe is. And what you have right before me now is an artist that nobody knows who has 7 albums out, but we keep working on it.
That's incredible. Like, that's just awesome. And it's just something cool that now, do you have a home studio as well, or everything at home, or?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, since we've been in shutdown, I know you have your radio program. I do a lot of radio work as well. I have, I'm on WFMU in New Jersey, and I also have a radio show in Europe on Totally Wired, which if you're familiar with the guy by the name of Eddie Pillar or Paul Weller, they're very heavily involved in that. So I get to meet all my heroes and do interviews with heroes.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I'm doing here on the other side. I like to meet with the people as well. And I'm on Mad Wasp Radio with Unlikely Places, Pop and Rock Radio, which is in the UK. So it's really cool that we kind of similar, which is really, really, really fun to
similar
see.
Paths that are crossing the night,
And actually, I found your music through a email that was sent to Mad Wasp. From either like a promotion thing, and then it said something about the zombies, and then that's when I started talking to you because I love the zombies, and I was just like, and you said that you opened for them, so that was the next question. How was that like? That must have been a really cool experience.
Well, I had the opportunity to put together a compilation album probably about 10, 15 years ago on Colin Blunstone, and I put together what I thought were best of his solo songs. And I didn't know Colin that well at the time, but anyway, we put it out, and it started getting decent reviews. So all of a sudden, Colin calls up and he goes, "Next time you're in London, let's get together." And I said, "Oh, so happens I'm going to be in London next month." So here I am in this cafe, never met this gentleman before, and I see him walking up the street, looks exactly the way he would be in my brain, and we sit down, and he is absolutely one of the nicest gentlemen I've ever met. So it lived up to all my expectations. And about 4 or 5 years later, I got into promoting. I used to do promotion shows at a club called The Bottom Line. I used to do a series called Beat Club. And so I learned enough about promotion, and I said to Colin, why don't you come over and I'll put together the band, and we'll do the best of the zombies and the best of your solo work. And Colin said, yeah, why not? So anyway, here I am like a kid in a candy shop. So I get to choose all my musicians, and I get to choose almost all the songs. But, Colin needed to learn them. He hadn't sang them in about 20 years. So anyway, he came over, and we did 3 nights at a club called Fez. And when he went back home afterwards, he had such a great time doing it. So did we. That he either he called Rod or Rod called him, and they decided to do it all over again. And so that's my story of how they got together again. And I've been fortunate enough because of just being there in the beginning, that they've kept me around. So I get to open for some of the dates and some of their tours. And I've been really, really, I'm really grateful. They've been really kind to me, and they've given me opportunities to get out there and perform in front of people. In fact, I'm interviewing Rod a week Monday, because, they're doing that Abbey Road session. I don't know if you're familiar with that or your listeners are.
I heard about it. Yeah. That's going to be incredible.
Pretty cool thing. Yeah, it's going to be with an orchestra and not an orchestra, but a string section. And
it's at
pretty
Abbey
cool
Road
thing
Studios too, as well.
Sorry,
it's going to be at Abbey Road Studios as well.
Abbey Road Studios, which is the place where they did Odyssey and Article. So it's a return to Odyssey and Article, basically.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to keep up to date on that, and share your interview when you're done with that. I'll share it on our page as well.
Great. Yeah,
I'd love to
stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely. And then out of all the touring, do you have any favorite touring memories? Any?
There's too many.
I know. I was gonna say, share a few.
Well, I've been really lucky. I've met most of the people that I idolize. I'm a big Paul Weller fan, so I've met Paul a number of times. I should call him Paul. Now we're best buddies. I met Mr. Weller a number of times, so that was kind of inspiring to me. I love his work attitude. I'm trying to think. I performed a Lou Reed song in front of Lou Reed. That was kind of interesting. And he walked out, so I guess I didn't do a good job. Or I did such a good job that he thought he couldn't top it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure which one.
You had to go rewrite another song,
Like... we went back to listen to Berlin.
Yeah.
So I've had that experience. I'm trying to think. I mean, I spent 2 evenings with Lee Hazelwood when he was alive. That was kind of bizarre. Maybe not someone but believe me, Nancy Sinatra and Lee Hazelwood were partners, singing partners. So that was the most insane evening I ever had, because the guy downed a bottle of bourbon while I was there, and we had to walk him back to his hotel room. But I've also met some of my real heroes, like Ian Hunter, and he has been one of the nicest persons. I mean, refused to normally when you go to these places, I got a couple of other things to say. Normally when you go to these places, they, the supporting band goes to the bathroom basically, and the main band goes to the luxury room. And Ian instantly got in there. He goes, I want everybody in the same room. I want to be able to talk to everybody, and everybody should share in all the food and all that. I thought that was the most gracious person. And one of the other things that happened is I toured with, I got the opening slot with a series of dates with Dave Davies, which led to them inviting me to open for Dave in London. And this is about 3 or 4 years ago. So they flew us over. It was 3 days before Christmas. We fly over, and you would think it was packed, but there was nobody on the plane, which was good. We get there. We're opening at this place called the Assembly Room, which was in Islington, which is very close to where Conk is. And we get there for sound check, and there's a section all sectioned off, and it's all of the Davies family. I met every person in all the songs that were there. It was Rosie was there, and blah, 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 and Uncle Harold. But here's the topper. So we do our set, and we went down relatively well. The audience was tolerant of us. And I'm walking around afterwards, and Dave Davies' son gets a hold of me, goes, come with me. And he takes me behind the sound booth, and he goes, this is your Christmas gift. And I said, what's going to happen? He goes, Ray's going to join him. And sure enough, Ray came out and joined Dave at that performance. And Did You Really Got Me? Last time they've ever performed together as up to now. So you talk about wonderful experiences.
Yeah, I'm a huge Kinks fan, so it's like chills down my back. Oh.
Yeah, you imagine? Oh. I mean, and we got to stay for the after party and hang. And Ray awesome. was being very good to his brother, because he knew it was Dave's show, so he stayed very much in the background, which I thought was really showed a good sense of a brotherhood, not like Liam and Noel Gallagher.
No. My dad was just telling me we were listening to the radio on our way to a concert. I think it was either REO Speedwagon that we just recently saw with Styx, and on the way to the concert, listening to the radio station. They said that back in it was during the What's the Story Morning Glory tour. So I think it's like 97, or my date's wrong. I can't remember.
Yeah, about that.
Around then,
about that.
They actually came to Connecticut at a small little bar in Danbury. And they shut the doors, kind of like the Stones did this too, I believe, a while ago back.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was
rehearsal.
A big thing. Yeah. Well, the Gallagher brothers, actually Oasis in general, did this, and my dad was like, "Damn it, I could have been there." He goes, "That's the bar we used to always go to," and I'm like, "Oh my god," because I missed the Oasis show, and I was like, "Oh shoot," I was like, "I'm sorry, I was, I wasn't around then either. I wasn't even born. I was born in '99, so I was like, ah."
You missed all the good music.
You missed. I did, and that's all the stuff I love. It's like, oh.
I think Liam Gallagher should have his own radio show. I think not his own radio. I think he should have his own TV show, because he is so hilarious. You'd have to have subtitles, because you can't understand what he's doing, especially after a couple of beers, and he's like, "Oh man, oh, got it."
It's like mumble, and you're like, "I need subtitles for this,"
Yeah. Well, they're putting out. I think it's in September. They're putting out There's a full feature film coming out. I think it's called Nebsworth, or Knobsworth, something like that. But it's about a concert they did. It was the biggest concert they did.
Oh,
It was
wow. I think I
350,000
remember reading
people.
about this. I want to see this in theaters because I've been on a binge of trying to watch like a lot of the concert stuff. Like I just saw the Sparks documentary, was really good.
Oh, that's great.
I
And
love
my
Sparks.
bass player is in that. Sal Maida. I don't know if you
Oh,
saw
okay.
it, but yeah, Sal Maida
cool.
was my bass player, and best mate was the bass player in Sparks for
Oh, wow.
3 years.
Well,
Yeah,
if he ever wants to do an interview,
yeah,
let
they're
me
great
know.
people.
Let me know if he ever wants to come on
Sorry?
and do an interview. Let me know if he wants to come on and do an interview. Talk Sparks. I would love. Anytime.
He was in
You could come
Sparks.
back
He was
on
in
too.
Roxy Music. He was in
Oh, really?
Cracker.
Oh, wow.
Milk and Cookies was his first band. So I will pass the message on to.
Yeah,
Sal
please
for
do.
you.
That'd be awesome. We could do a whole thing for that. My buddy and I are huge Sparks fans, big time, and I actually just interviewed Marcus Blake, who was in.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus is a good friend of mine. He's a really nice guy. So I'm getting around. I'm getting to know all the. But it's really fun.
From living in Connecticut, you've been universal.
No, and it's the thing with like my radio show. I've had people ask like, how many Connecticut acts do you have on there? And I make room for them, of course, if they want to. Anybody's welcome. But I'm more of like getting in those England acts, learning new Britpop songs that I would never get a chance to hear. Just because I'm with this radio station, I've gotten to hear so much music that I would never get to hear, and it's just such an honor. And it's like I just amazed at like the amount of like again I met you through just seeing the email with the promotion thing, and I was all over it because that's my type of music. And Catch a Cloud is a phenomenal song. I really like it.
Well, thank you. It's really weird. When I put out the album, it was meant to be a real solo sparse album. It's not what my rest of my catalog sounds like.
Huh.
And I did this Catch a Cloud song, and it was just, let me not put too much on it. I just want acoustic guitar, flute, a couple of keyboard notes, piano notes, and that's it. And yet it seems that everybody, like yourself, seems to constantly say that's a beautiful song, and I'm like, did I write that? Did I really write that? I'm not so sure.
It always seems like I've noticed that with like just making music in general. It's usually the ones that you don't expect to be like your usual, like this isn't usually me, and then it turns out to be like this big thing. And again, I like a lot of the songs on the album. That's not the only one, but I enjoyed playing that song just on the radio because it's very much a radio. It's meant for radio. It really is, and it's perfect.
It's a soft song.
Yeah.
It's a break from all the high edge stuff,
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a track on there that goes back before your grandparents were around called Haley. And that was written about when I was a kid, because I was born in Birmingham, England. And when I was about 3, I guess I was 5 or 6, my dad put on a TV and I saw this beautiful girl, and she was this English actress. And she ended up getting snatched up by Disney over here.
Huh.
And she came over here and she did the original Parent Trap. And
Okay.
yeah. And so she was kind of like, then after a period of time, Disney went through their like big superstar thing, and she went through a couple of big hit films. She moved back to England. She ended up dating George Harrison of the Beatles.
Yeah.
And then did some films and did a lot of more cultural events. And so I just got fascinated by this character. So I wrote the song about her, and no one knows who it is. So here's the funny thing. So, we've got to do some shows. We've got to get out and do something. So we decided to go to Philadelphia and play in this little bar, and it was all with masks and everything. And we go up there, and so we get to playing a few new songs. And I said, all right, no one in this little bar in Philadelphia is going to know who this English actress is, but does anybody know who Haley Mills is? And this guy in the back, who was like pretty much out of his mind, comes forward and he goes, I was an extra in her film. And I'm like, which one? You name the one, I was in it. I'm like, oh, great. So it ended up, he was actually an extra in this film called Trouble in Angels. So here I am in Philadelphia talking about this obscure English actress. And there's a guy that was a stunt performer in the freaking film. So is that cool or what?
That's odd. That's incredible because it's like the way the universe is. It just brings the people, and it's just like, that's funny. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, and this is a little bit of advice for you here, but there's a song on the album which I actually thought would be the one people would gravitate towards, and it's called "What Happened to Us." And And it's a very, very kind of inner turmoil song. And I think one day you are very lucky right now. You have age on your side. You're a young guy. You're moving on, and you think you're going to be young forever, and you got your parents, you got your grandparents, etc. Well, one day, you're going to look around and all of a sudden, grandparents aren't there. You are now your parents, and then your parents leave you, and then you are that person, and it's a pretty sad story. And it's just the realization of we all the circle of life,
Yeah.
And I thought it was so deep that when I finished it, I realized it's not commercial enough, but I just felt satisfied because it was a song that really gave me how I felt about life, So there you go. You can cry to that one with a beer.
Yeah, well, and I'll have to, with a beer.
You got it. You got it.
I like that. I'll have to play it on the next one of the episodes. I have a 007 episode coming up on Unlikely Places. I'll sneak that one in there. I'll put that on there for you.
See what you think. Yeah, maybe no one will like it, but
I don't care about that. It's about the feelings.
It's really written from the heart. That's the key.
The best part. And I again, like I said, I enjoyed the whole album. Again, it was just like when I got the album, it was towards like a week before. So I usually get like a week, and then I get sent like hundreds of emails. I've never expected this to be, but that's the way it is with the radio. They're like, hey, do you want us to send you new songs? Yes, I do, but oh my gosh, it comes flooding in. So it was like, all right, let me put everything in. And then yours, popped up, and it was I just happened to check the new emails, and it popped up, and I was like, I'm really glad again, fate. It's the way it is. You're drawn to certain songs, and we're a power
I am
pop
just so grateful.
Mixed with rock station, so it covers everything. I mean, I play songs from oddball groups. Like I know my 7th episode, I'm actually going to be playing a Limp Bizkit song, believe it or not, that doesn't swear, that actually sounds slightly pop. And I was just like, I'm throwing it in there at the end, just see what happens. Might get everybody involved, but it's just I want people to be surprised, something different. They don't expect Limp Bizkit to be on a power pop station, so I'm doing. I might hurt some people, but
the imagination. You know what? You are the person that is programming, and you're the person who has the vision. And I sometimes play things that people freaking hate. Okay, and they're like, I won't use a bad word. They're saying, what are you doing? I'm like, are you awake? And I'll play a prog thing, and I'll play French music because I'm a fanatic over French music. Francois Hardy is like one of my heroes. And then I'll play something like from English bands, like you were saying, that send me submissions. And I always like to try to have 3 or 4 new songs. I'll say your name and see if you know this person. Have you ever heard the work of Martin Newell?
No, but that sounds familiar.
Okay. Write that name down and check him out. He is the undiscovered Ray Davies. He's been around since 1975, 76.
I will.
And I think you will really dig him because you're definitely a pop fan.
Yeah, and I might play him on the show too. It's cool about that.
I love all that stuff.
He's probably got about 50 albums out.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah. And he's an eccentric. He's like Syd Barrett meets Ray Davies.
Oh, no, I love it. Now I'm happy. Now you got my attention because I love the early Pink Floyd and I love Kinks all the way. So that's perfect.
Oh, yeah. Well, the opening song on my album, Imaginary Man, is written about Syd Barrett. It's about being in the mind of Syd Barrett.
Oh, well, I might just play the whole album on my show now.
There you go. But if you're listening to the track, think of like somebody giving Syd Barrett the thoughts to live his life. And that's really what it was written about.
Wow, that's really cool. So that's innovative too, because it's something different. You're writing not just the basic like she said this or he said that. There's like ideas behind that. I love that. Yeah, I love that about.
It's an observational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when I find artists that do stuff like that because I always write in concepts. Even if the songs don't fit together, there's a concept. There's something that writes like I have like 50 plus releases with a bunch of my friends that we just keep releasing. It's all based around this like fictional town that we came up with a long time ago, and all these stories happen in the town. So if the songs don't fit, they're still part of the town because sometimes in life things don't always fit. Things aren't always.
And
so that's always been the idea.
They may not fit today, but they'll fit tomorrow.
Yeah. And
who knew we'd get the virus 2 years ago?
I know. I wrote a song during the pandemic that made radio. It actually made it a radio hit because everybody was still kind of fresh and everything, and it was called Isolated Do. I did it with Frankie Saragusa, the drummer for the Posies currently, and he's worked with some incredible. He just recently did that Beatles thing too as well, where they redid some of the Beatles songs. Fantastic job work from him, and really good friend of mine. And I said, I'm gonna pay you. Let's do it. Let's do something together. I want to get out there, and it became a radio hit, and it made me want to become a radio host. It was the drive, because I've always liked radio ever since I went to college. It's what I wanted to go for. But it was the drive to see that there was online radio, because I was sending my song to all these places. I want to be that radio host. I want to receive people's songs and be that guy that plays your song and you're excited to hear it. And I was like, I wanted to be that, give a smile to someone, and that's why I love interviewing folks too. It's just something so cool. It breaks up your day and it makes you feel good.
Well, you've been on both sides of the radio world. So what's great about it is how it feels when one of your songs is played, and you know how hard it is to get something played.
It makes it harder for me to pick songs too, because if I have to, I only have an hour, and I'm like, oh god, I have to cut. Yeah. It's horrible, because you're like, so many people, even if it's weird, I love weird music too. I mean, I love Sparks, as mentioned before, so nothing really phases me. And when I get sent something, it's like, I just got to find out where it fits. It's like a puzzle piece. You got to find where you could fit it, because you can get somebody to like Sparks or like other bands that are weird if you could fit them between two songs that they really like. But you have to find that similar sound or similar. I mean, I made Achu by Sparks work with, and I forget what the other song was. On one of my shows, I did it, and the fade into Achu, people actually were like, we're not really big Sparks fan, but we like the song Achu now, and it was like perfect. That's what I want to achieve, because that's a great feeling.
But they have variation within their catalog. They have freaking 30 albums out, for God's sakes.
And quality, like different things. Like they have all different genres. Like I really like the first album a lot. I have it on vinyl. I got the reissue of it, Wonder Girl and all that.
Wonder Girl is great. Yeah. I love Wonder Girl.
I like No More Mr. Nice Guys.
Yeah. When I first came to this country, used to go to Max's Kansas City, and they were the house band for a while. So I got to see them a number of times. And then Todd, of course, got them, and away they went. But that they've lasted this long and still creative is it's just that's why they're called Sparks. They keep coming up with ideas.
They cause Sparks, and I'm really glad that Edgar Wright was a big fan of them. It's just like the world meant to have this director do a documentary on them and then finally get their time to shine. And I plan to see Annette, but I've heard it's like very darker than I thought was originally. But that's Sparks for you. They do something that you don't expect, and I'm very excited to see it I'm hoping that when it comes out, the theater closest to me is a little too far, so I'm like,
Got it.
So hopefully I get to see it.
Did you know that they are touring? They're
I heard
early next year. Yeah.
I don't know if they're coming over this way though. I hope. I would go.
I know they're playing New York City, but at Town Hall, playing 2 nights. I don't know what other locations, but
that'd be awesome.
Coming to a place near you.
Yeah, that would be. Well, isn't it? I believe if not, it's Ron's birthday today too. I think Ron Mail's birthday.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Perfect timing.
Like I told you, I've been working on backwards guitar tracks.
No worries.
I've been lost in my own hell.
No, when people are like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" I'm like, "No, I'm recording guitar parts for the last 2 days. I'm not paying attention. I got my computer. I got a program on my computer. Got this brand new Yeti microphone. It's I've been addicted to just doing vocals through this now. It's been crazy." And I didn't realize this is like an all-around. It has like 4 different settings. So I've been like messing around with vocals, doing radio stuff and everything, and it can record like in front of an amp. It's like, ooh, this is sweet.
It's definitely a warm, overwhelming mic. I think you're gonna have to learn how to move back and forth from it and kind of gravitate and where you pick it up. But it's a cool little mic there, man.
Yeah, hopefully the audio is coming through Audacity okay, and I'm not overpowering you. I hope not. But
hey, if you are, you could balance it. You do what you need to do.
Yeah, it's all a learning curve, So it's
it's
always
absolutely
part of the fun.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you about the new album. We talked about Catch a Cloud here, and I wanted to ask what the writing process in total and what was that like. Did you do a lot of the recordings at home, or how did you record the album? Okay.
Well, the scenario is I always write I try to write every day, 5 days a week. I keep a very kind of rigid schedule when I can, and it's probably by 11 to 5 or 11 to 6. I'm writing. Wow. And once I've got enough tracks, once I've got enough words down for a whole series of songs, I then take one or two and then put them into Logic, and I use Logic with samples and create an outline or demo, and then from there play around with it and then add vocals until I've got a finished demo that I think is presentable. I put it in a pile, and then if somebody's asking me for songs, I will present the songs to them if somebody is so kind. And then so I've gotten several people that have recorded my songs, and so what eventually ends up is that the pocket of songs that finish one particular cycle of work are then given to my producer Don Piper, and Don then will say, this works, this doesn't work. He's my school teacher, and I don't like what you did here, but I like what you did there. He will never criticize the words because the words are mine to do what I want with, but he will definitely go after the music.
Yeah,
and then we
give you ideas and stuff too. Yeah.
And then basically normally what we do is get musicians together. I know I'm lucky because I got a good solid, like you've got your mates there, but I've got like James Mastro for me and Hunter on guitar. I've got Sal Mader on bass, Dennis Dyken on drums from the Smithereens. So we'll go in, we'll cut two rehearsals, and we'll just cut rehearsals, and then we'll go in the studio for 2 days, and we'll knock off as much basics as we can. So from there, Don and I then pull in whoever's guest musicians from wherever we're pulling those people in from, and then knock off a record. And it's got to be a relatively simple process at this point. But like I said, with Catch a Cloud, it was different because I did all the music myself. I mean, 80 to 90% of it, and then just brought in friends of mine to guest on certain tracks. Like I had Marty Wilson Piper was over here for a couple of days, and he used to play in the church. He's that guitarist that really fancy stuff. And I got him to come in, and the one day before he was leaving to go back to, I think he was going back to England, I got him to lay down some solos. I said, you're not playing fast enough. I want you to play like you used to play, not this folky shit. Play like you would in the church. Play all those notes that make it sound like, McGuinn times 10. And he did. And it sounded awesome. Great. So if you listen to the hard edge songs.
Yeah, I hear McGuinn in there. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how I got it. I said, play him faster. So Burned by the Candle, which is one of the tracks on there, features, I think, some of his best work in a long time. So that felt good because I just told him off to make it sound good, So that's how I did this record.
Well, that's very
so it was easy.
Yeah, it's fun to have, like you said, like it's something different for you too, that you weren't doing the usual, setup that you usually do, and it was all you, and until your friend there came in. That's incredible. I like that you change it up a bit.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Yeah. Well, I also that record was supposed to come out. Catch a Cloud was supposed to come out 2 years ago, but I started writing with Steve Butler, who is in a band called Smash Palace. Who, if you don't know, you should check them out. You probably like them. They're a pop band. And we got together, wrote a couple of songs, and the next thing you know, we've got an album's worth of songs. We're signed to the same label, so the label said, "Why don't you do something together?" So we did that, and so that album was finished. My album was finished, and I went back to our label and said, "I'd like to do the Rogers and Butler album because I think that's more commercial." And they said, "Go for it." So we put the Rogers and Butler album out. Actually, it's interesting because we got 5 or 6 dates opening for the Zombies in your area, actually. I think, Maine and Connecticut, and
Connecticut one of them?
And then we went down to Delaware, and we went to New York City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we did that East Coast circuit.
I'm sorry, that was probably when the Zombies came around. Yeah, I would have been cool. If you ever come again, please let me know. My dad and I are huge Zombies fans. So is my mom. So
all right, well,
perfect.
My
dad grew up with them. So
next year, I think you
might
catch him next year.
Oh, maybe.
But
be fun.
Yeah, no, it's great. So anyway, we we pushed the album, and then the virus hits. A week before we're scheduled to get the album out. So that album kind of didn't get the exposure it should have got. But it was a pop album that I feel very proud about. And we've knocked off another album that hopefully the label will give us a few pennies to go back and record when everybody's back to normal again,
and it'll take a while, but I'm just glad to see some live music back. And I work for a company that I work for some of the venues here. I actually do guest services for some of the venues, and a lot of the shows that the artists are pulling out, and it's like, I'm going to lose a job again. Because I do really enjoy those, but at least I have the radio, and at least I have something to fall back on. But it's just, I love being in that atmosphere. Nothing can replace live music, and that feeling.
Yeah.
There's nothing, and it's crazy.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
But as you know, there's so many people that I never thought that people would be stubborn about getting vaccinated,
I know.
and it's just insane in my brain. But
Yeah.
and you got to get real sick to learn that it's the right thing to do. It sounds
It's crazy, and it's
impossible
annoying because it's like it's only making it worse. Everybody that wants to just go out and have, it's like we want the same thing, so what's the confusion? I don't.
Yeah,
like we all just
and it's now getting to the kids, man,
Yeah,
which is
that's
like
sad
really
too,
a drag,
No,
I mean, we did the responsible thing,
Yeah.
and like I remember when I was invincible. I remember when I was Superman, but
Yeah.
fuck it, when you get hit with that virus, man,
not fun.
you ain't Superman,
No. And anybody that taken it's horrible. And I just had the super. I believe I got something similar before it started, but I didn't get it. But like before it all got a thing, I had like a super flu that I've never had before, and I was out.
You know what?
Cold. Yeah, same.
I did too.
Yeah, it was, and they're saying like there was no testing for it, and it was all negative because it was too early. I have a feeling I got it because I got like this wicked super flu that no one knew about, and it was like I was sick for like a whole week, and it was ridiculous.
I came back from touring in England, and 2 days later I was feeling like unbelievable. I went to my doctor, and he said it's a virus; it'll go away. About a week later, I'm like dying from this stuff. I went to my doctor; he tests me, gives me some more pills, go away. Come back the third time. You like he was basically saying, it's a virus. It's going to go away. Well, it took 3 solid weeks.
Wow.
My birthday was during that time.
Oh, geez.
And I did not pick up the bloody phone to talk to anybody.
No,
I just did not want to know. And then the interesting thing is I get tested because now the virus is well known. Everybody says get tested. So went, got a blood sample, and he calls me up and he goes, you have antibodies. How is that possible? I said, you stupid. I said, hey, like I've been telling you, I knew there was something going on,
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so I was tested twice independently from different people, and they said you've got antibodies. They couldn't figure it out until they realized that it was coming in a lot earlier.
Yep.
And that's the key to that.
Because all my dad, my mom, and I all got sick around the same time, and we just could not shake it. And it was like to the point where it was just like I could do stuff towards the end of it, but it was still lingering. Like I was still sick, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I probably and then I it's like
robbed every ounce of strength from you, right?
Yeah,
you couldn't just get out of bed was like a major move for the day,
ridiculous. And it's like, and I on top of it, I thought it was just like, oh, I'm just lazier, I'm tired. No, I'm still sick. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, and you know what? Unfortunately, we're also. It ended up. I mean, I did have obligations, and I was seeing people, and I don't know. To this day, it's kind of like really weird. And I mean, I lost some really good friends to that virus. I don't know if you. There's a gentleman by the name of Alan Merrill who wrote "I Love Rock and Roll" for Joan Jett. He was the writer of that song. Wrote a number of other songs. Great guy. Real rock and roll guy, and he was the first person within a month of it hitting that I learned passed away. Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne,
and I love him because of that Thing You Do. That's my favorite movie, and he wrote the song for that with Mike Viola there.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh,
yeah. So I mean, I used to work with him, so I kind of know his whole vibe, and it. So many people before we figured out what the hell was going on, we lost.
No, it's sad too. It's like. It bums me too because it's like I wanted to get out there and do shows and again it was so great that we have the radio, these online stations, and radio here. I did a lot during it. I've done a lot more than I'm used to, and it's tough for me to say that I was more successful during it than I was, but it's the truth. I've gotten a lot more powerhouse done of things, and again became this radio host that I've always wanted to be, and then our interviews went up. I got to interview Brendan O'Hare from Teenage Fan Club recently.
He's a great guy. Yeah,
great guy. It was so much fun talking with him, and he's actually going to drum on our new album on one of the songs. We're just waiting on some, so we're excited. We're actually holding the album
name
off
dropper. You got all the good people in your pocket, mate.
Yeah. Well, anytime you want to like me to ask them for you, anytime, let me know. No,
hey,
man,
I'd definitely take them up on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop
Great
a little
band.
name drop here too. Pete Donnelly of the Figs and I are gonna be doing a song together. Just asked him recently. He's done some voice work for me, but I've never, I love his music, and I was like, wait, I gotta get some actual, music on it, and just a lot of really cool. I'm friends with Terry Draper of Klaatu, which is an amazing,
who's who is the most? Has there ever been a musician you've worked with that is that you are in awe of, or have been like just overwhelmed by?
I mean, that's a good question. The interviewee's asking the interviewer. I love it.
I'm turning it. I was thinking that when I said it.
I'm ready. Hey, I'm ready. That's a good question. So like, I've worked with a lot of really cool folks. And like every single one brings something special to the table that overwhelms like my brain because
you're not answering the question.
I know. I'd have to say, for me personally, probably Ken Stringfellow of the Posies. John Hour right behind him because again the Posies. But Ken's got like so many credits. But it's it's tough to pick one. Because I've done like Terry Draper's been on an album of mine doing vocals, which is he's pretty big. And I think Pete Donnelly's probably going to be the biggest out of like all the power pop stuff coming up. Yeah, and it can only get bigger. But I'll work with anybody. Yeah. I just love it. I love being the nobody around all the somebodies, but I'm really not a nobody anymore. I've gotten out there enough that it's like in the beginning it works. You're like, okay, I have 2 connections. Then all of a sudden you're listing all your connections. You're like, okay, yeah, no, they know who I am now.
Yeah.
It's
I did a show, a tribute. It was a T-Rex in the park, Central Park, and so everybody had to audition for this thing, So and I was one of the people working on it. So I said, let me do a song. So I walk into the rehearsal room, and I walk over. There's Clem Burke drumming on that side, who I had not met before. There's Richard Barone on one guitar. There's James Master on another guitar. I'm trying to think, I'm name dropping here, but Tony Shanahan from the Patti Smith group. Oh, wow. These are serious musicians, okay? But what I didn't see, sitting in a chair with a piece of paper, was Tony Visconti, David Bowie's producer.
Yeah. Sparks
and also
too.
Mark Bolan's producer.
And Sparks
and he was the one who decided whether or not you got into the show. Wow. So the first time I'm doing the show and I see this freaking guy, I am like sweating and I blow it.
Oh, no.
And this is the cool thing, is that I blow it, and immediately Clem Burke stands up and goes, I made a mistake which caused him to do it. That's not true. I fucked it up. Excuse my English. I'm hoping that's all right. No, and we did it again, and I got it, and I got into the show. And it was an amazing show. It had Patti Smith. It had the New York Dolls. It was a really, really successful show. This is a number of years ago, but being in the presence of Tony Visconti, and then I got to know him and the stories that he had to tell that have never come out, or just those are the wonderful periods and things that I'm sure you've experienced as well.
And then with the Posies is very special. It's kind of why we started a lot of our radio shows and just everything was just their magic. And the fact that like I've showed up, and when I first met, I interviewed Ken when I was like 17. That's what started the show. And never through a 17-year-old in high school who I was always bullied, or wasn't like I wasn't the popular kid. There was reasons, I was on the other end of things. I was on the music side of things. That was my life. And to be able to do something that nobody in that high school could say they did. And to be able to interview Ken Stringfellow of the Posies, who's also worked with REM, he was a bass player for REM for a little bit, it's huge. Sure. And that started a friendship between me and him that I didn't expect to blossom into like actually having him on my songs and to be on other things. And then being part of the radio station now, like he was all excited to do the voice intro for that with John and Frankie, all 3 of them. And just I think they're just super excited that the station's named after one of their songs. Like, that's really cool. I mean, no matter how big you are, it's pretty cool. And I've always wanted to do that for them because they did that for me. That was as soon as I said, if I ever become a radio host, it's going to be something named after them. I just got to figure out what it is. And then it became Unlikely Places because I wanted to keep with something newer, which has Frankie on it because Frankie's a good friend. So I was like, I'm gonna do something with Unlikely Places instead of like early, because Dear Apology by Dear 23 is my favorite song. And during Isolated Do, my song that I wrote, I put my favorite, the best song to me was Apology on Dear 23 is in that verse.
Oh yeah,
and then
great
after
song.
that, there's a line that says Klaatu was not pretending to be the Beatles. Well, that's a Klaatu and a Posies reference in a song.
Really
like,
now?
What 20 at the time I was like, what 21-year-old? I'm 22 now, just turned 22, but would quote that, you know. Well, then during one of the Posies live streams, I hear John Auer go and say, calling occupants, and I'm like, that's got to be because of Isolated Do. So that even if it wasn't, it just melted my heart because it's like, that's my song that I wrote about the both of them with two bands that are two different kind of bands. But the fact that like it brought them together, I was able to introduce Terry to somebody he wanted to work with, which was Lisa Michaels. She's worked with a lot of really good. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She was my life coach for a while too. I think she did a couple albums with the Wonderments too, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
I really like. I think her stuff. And she was really fun
that's
to work
pretty
with.
cool.
She was the most challenging to work with.
Sorry?
She was the most challenging to work with. She was the most challenging to work with because she challenged me to write differently, and I really appreciated that. And it was cool because it was a good thing. And love you, Lisa. Don't take that out of context.
You know, you work with different people and you learn something from everyone you work with, you know. I remember the first time I went to Seattle, this was in between when the Posies had broken up, you know, they weren't around. And I went to one of the local indie shops. I was shopping for records, and I went in, and as I was walking out, there was this little flyer on the table, and it said, "Tonight at this factory, the Posies are playing." And I look, and I said, "Look at this," you know. And so we had dinner, and then we went to this factory in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you know, and there they were, and they were playing. Awesome. It was like the first time they'd played in a couple of years, and I was kind of like, this is the first. I can't believe I am in Seattle seeing the Posies, you know, because Seattle is so known for the grunge
that's where
scene,
you ought to be for that. Like, you know, over here, I've seen the Posies. I actually got to see the Posies for Dean's wedding with Shelley Vlakas. They had the Posies play, and that was that experience. The most famous person I've ever seen and been in the same room with was John Bryan, because he was there. And I never got a chance to talk to him. I have a feeling there was a reason for that. Like, that's just how it's supposed to be. The story is that I'm supposed to say that I haven't talked to him. Never got to. I was too busy talking with John, Ken, Mike, and Dave, who I now are friends. And I just enjoyed being with them because that's what I was there for. I'm the super fan, you know, that's there. Just, you know. But having to see John Bryan and then not knowing who he was, though I was a big Jellyfish fan at the time. I just didn't put two and two together for some reason. But to realize that's John Bryan, like, mega producer, and I'm just like, that's really cool. Is
John the guy that did the series of shows where he starts with instruments and he builds up the song? He did a residence out in
I think so
yeah, I do too, because I remember going to see him do this, and it was like he would start with a drum track and then he would develop the whole song live in front of a small audience.
I feel like he would do that. Yeah, that fits his style. So if it isn't him, then I would expect it to be him doing that at some point. But yeah, that would definitely.
Yeah, and it's a really small club. And then I turn around, and who's sitting next to me but Richard Thompson from Fairport Convention, and he gets up and joins them and starts playing some songs with them, and I'm like, how insane is this? You know, like, this is pretty cool. But that's LA. You know, LA gets those crazy
like
people
here in
out
Connecticut,
there.
it's not as common, like, for that stuff to happen, and when it does, it's crazy. And for me, I think it's my sign that I was born to do music. Originally,
that's great.
Thought. It was originally what I thought, and I'm still going to do music, of course. I love doing music. But then it became that I kept doing these interviews, and I kept easily being able to get guests because it's just the way I am. And just like, I'm not rude about it. I don't go in, you know, like, you should come on, you know, I go in nicely and just ask, hey, do you want, you know, and I've been doing it for a while, and that's when I knew I had that network ability. I've been able to get backstage at shows just by talking. I've been able just to kind of talk my way into just meeting people that I never expected to meet. And I don't overdo any boundaries. I'll never, like, you know, jump fences or like get in trouble. I just enjoy talking music. And when the bands see that, they go, okay, this is somebody that we would like to talk to as well, because we are just like that. And if they don't, that's okay too. I mean, I'm bummed I can't see the one show I want to see this year. Big Star. They're doing like a Big Star third thing up in Brooklyn. There's like Ken, Matt, Mike Mills from REM, Ken, John,
right,
and a couple others. And,
Big Star 3.
Yeah, Big Star 3. And it's basically Jody
Yeah.
Stevens is going to be part of this and everything. And Ken goes, "Are you coming?" Isn't it kind of funny that the artist is asking me? I'm like, sadly, I can't because just the way that everything going on and like trying to get up there. My dad's with the parking and traffic. I'm like, damn, I would love to go, but it's like,
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
pretty cool bill,
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell
it's
you,
very
when
awesome.
I guess this a couple of years ago, I was invited, if you can believe this, to Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones'
Really?
80th birthday party.
Wow.
So I go to this thing, and I go into the room, and there are all these like mega superstars. There's the Live Aid, Bob Geldof. There's
Wow.
who else was there? I'm trying to think now. Oh, um, Robert Plant was there, and Van Morrison. So now I don't know if you know anything about any of these artists, but
No, I do.
Van Morrison is notorious to be like the most obnoxious guy in the world.
And especially his new album that just came out.
He's always got him coming out,
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody introduces me, and we started talking. And he was really pleasant.
Wow.
He was really a nice guy. Bob Geldof comes over because he chats to everybody. He goes, "Can I get you guys a drink?" And I'm like, "Okay." He goes off, comes back with a drink. We're sitting there. So I get really cocky at this point, thinking I can talk to anybody in this room.
Oh no.
So I go over to Robert. I go over to Robert Plant, who were both born in the same area in the Westlands, in the Midlands. And I went over and I said hello to him. And his one word to me was, "Are we allowed to curse on this show? Are we allowed to curse on this show?"
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, "Fuck off. I don't want you near me." And I'm
Oh.
like, whoa, it brought me down to earth
boy.
immediately. And I learned a lesson from that, which is watch your boundaries, never get too cocky,
Yeah.
and always be ready to back down gracefully.
And
You
that's
know,
the thing too, is you have to learn to never. They always say never meet your heroes, but I've been just so lucky. I have been so lucky.
Oh, I am
that
too.
my
Most of my
heroes
heroes have been
are
really
good
great.
people, which means I picked good heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I met first time I met Paul Weller. He couldn't have been nicer to me. I mean, I just was like, wow, this guy wanted, and this guy, we started talking about music. I said, "What you got in the bag?" He goes, "I just came out of Rough Trade and I've just bought all these new albums." He goes, "You want to see what I bought?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm looking for that record myself." And he goes, "I got the last one, mate." So having that interchange with people is really, really a cool thing,
Oh, he's from
So
the Jam.
do you want to
Okay, I
keep
know
talking to me, or are you watching your clock at this point?
No, I was looking here to see who Paul Weller was because I wanted to update my mind here.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
the Jam. Yeah. Okay,
All
I
right, so
remember-
let
I
me tell you who
remember
Paul
him.
Weller is.
Yeah.
He started off in 75, 76 in a band called The Jam, became England's #1 band for 2 years, and at the top of the height of their success, he broke the band up to become the Style Council, and had 10 years with the Style Council, and at the end of that, they faded away. He couldn't get a record deal. He started from the ground up. Paul Weller became, in England, he's the last 5 albums that he's released all went in at #1 in the
Wow.
in the UK charts.
I'll have to check it.
And,
because I know the Jam.
yeah.
I didn't really know more than that. Wow.
Yeah.
I love
So
being educated.
literally, he's probably, if you think of it, he's now 60 years old. He started when he was 17, and he's considered to be the mod father or the mod grandfather of the whole movement. So if you go back to all the music that's come through, massive catalog of songs, and is really cool because he's invested everything into music and he's still passionate about it. So I'm a little older than you, probably double your age, but I hold on to my heroes very, very tightly. And one thing I could tell you and your listeners is go out, find the new bands, make tomorrow happen, but also listen to some of the bands that were you might not have gotten. That you looked up Paul Weller is really cool to me. That's
that's why I wanted to
that
make sure, because I wanted to make sure I didn't want to just say yes, 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 and then not. I wanted to make sure, and I recognized the Jam because I know them, but I didn't recognize him as. So I'm actually gonna probably dig a little deeper. I think after every interview I do, I always find something to dig deeper into. Sometimes it's what the artist brings up to the table. Now this interview, I got a lot to dig into. I got like a lot to look.
Sorry
into,
about that.
No, I love it.
Well,
I got nothing else to do.
having my own having my own radio show gives me the same privileges that you have. And we may have slightly different taste. I mean, I go after. I also listen to prog music,
I like
so
prog too.
I listen to jazz, modernistic jazz,
cool.
because that's very popular in England these days again.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of that music going on. And I listen, obviously, to my roots music. And you were talking about the Posies or all those bands. And I think it's funny. I think we're at a point where REM were considered to be the most uncool band, for a while. Now I think they're all of a sudden becoming a cult band again.
Yeah,
it's like people beginning to listen to it.
And it's crazy. Well, I think it's because with its end of the world as we know it, with being like kind of the unsold theme of this virus, is probably what really sparked REM back. But I've always loved REM. Mike Stipe's vocals are just incredible. My goal in life, my goal interview, like if anybody ever asked, like who would be the one person you'd ever want to interview? I don't know if you ever get asked this as a host yourself, but for me, it's Mike Stipe. I would really love to and I don't know how it would go down. I don't know. I just would be interested in just hearing his stories, or any of the guys from REM, because I know he's
a hard interview.
Yeah.
He's a hard interview.
Yeah.
I will tell you that he's kind of very intellectual and doesn't talk like you and I chat away crazy because that's what we love to do. He's very calculated.
Oh, boy.
He's very calculated.
Well,
what
that's
he
probably
says
the reason
and
why it
does.
hasn't happened yet. I have to. It'll be one of those ones when I learn, and the universe will grant it.
Let him lead the way. It'll be my bit of advice to you, because as he had told us all, it's the end of the world as we know it. We're off to new days, new sunshines, and it's all that kind of stuff.
I love that Ken Stringfellow full name is Kenneth, and then he joined REM, and I'm just like, what's the frequency? But I love
pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just weird how it happens like that. Some songs like that. I'm sure he's thought about that too, but
yeah.
But
no, it's
just
nice one to have dedicated to.
Yeah, and the most recent artist I've worked with, which is a lot of fun, is Rich Dart. He's now the current drummer for the Monkees. He's the current touring drummer.
Oh, really?
And I got a hold of him because he's friends with Dean and Shelley and friends with and he's in their band, and so is Brian Stevens once in a while from the Cave Dogs, which I didn't know who they were. And this is where I think things happen for a reason, because I had to open that night for that band, for the Shelley Vlachos experience. And I think if I knew the Cave Dogs, because I love them a ton now, if I knew who they were, I think I would have slipped and failed, just because I'd be so nervous, trying to open for these guys or try to be something I'm not. It was good that I didn't know who he was, and he enjoyed all the songs that I brought out, and I think that meant a lot to me to then find out who he was, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Same with my dad and I.
It's so small.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's those small little things that happen.
Yeah,
that
it is.
Make it so why you do this. Is your dad a musician?
He was a little bit in high school, did a lot of covers and stuff back in his day. He's 65 now, and he's just always been a mentor to me, and always pushes me to do better at what I do, and he always, but I've taken it further. He's living vicariously through me. Sorry, Dad, but he's definitely living through what I do, and I really appreciate it. And he's a little bit of a manager in our stakes. I actually have a manager, Dave Scaff, who when he wrote the contract out, was so nice enough to be like, we're going to give your dad a percentage too. And I was like, that's really cool. I didn't expect that. That was really awesome.
Dad gets a percentage.
Yeah,
that's a cool. That's a
really
very cool label.
It is.
You gotta let me know who that is.
Yeah, Dave Scaff. He manages Jason Cropper, the original guitarist of Weezer. The original, way
that's
back.
why.
He left the band early, but Jason's really nice. We interviewed Jason on the show. This is why I love doing podcasts, so stuff like this can happen. Not forced or anything. I just asked him, I said, do you know any record labels? He goes, no, but I have a personal manager that would be interested in what you do. So I sent my music out, and then we signed the contract, and it was incredible, something like that. I'm still looking for a record label, if anybody knows any record labels looking for a double album, so I'm looking. It's very interesting that I love that we can create at home. There's just so much we can do now that's just at the touch of if you have an idea, you can make music at home. And it's really cool.
Well, I'm gonna counter you to that. I will tell you that one of the evils that I think is, when I was a kid, you bought albums and or you bought, and then CDs came, so you got CDs. But now your world, because you're younger than I am, you can get anything you want. You go on the computer and you can immediately find out the last time that, Ken went to the bathroom, basically.
It's ridiculous, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it's too easy. I think when I was a kid, you had to search for your records, and you go to a record store with your mates and you'd wow, and there would be a cool thing. You take it home, you read the
sometimes there's a
credits,
risk
you
of
put
buying
the
something
record
you
on.
don't like. Sometimes there's that
Sorry?
there's a risk of buying something you don't like because you don't know. You don't know what the sounds are, or you don't know ahead of time.
Yeah,
I get
but
it's
you know
music,
that but that was the excitement of it. You know, when
Yeah.
you discovered new music, it's like you get 200 downloads a week, right? And you got to go
Yeah.
through all that stuff, and
Yeah.
you're going to find the one jewel in there. But
Yeah.
I think that's a little. I think that when you had to go and search for everything, it was something more. I don't know. Maybe it's
Plus,
my
it was
age
like,
showing up. But
I mean, I'm
I
lucky-
like the hunt.
My dad and I go to flea markets, so in a sense, we get to hunt for the old stuff and we find gems like through the records because my dad taught me well, and so did my mom. Older style like doing things, and I love it. Because we go to flea markets, I found Klaatu and learned about them just by finding them at a flea market and not knowing who they were, and so stuff like that. So I get what you're saying, and I agree to as well because like. I love going to the record store now, but it's not the same. There's not new. I mean, there is new vinyl, but it's new vinyl that you could look up online, and you could, it's not the same as a new record coming through. And I kind of wish, I envy my dad in a good way. It's like I wish I was able to. I was born in the wrong generation, classic kind of thing. I wish I got to see Frank Zappa live, but I didn't get a chance, stuff like that. But I got to interview his sister. I think I got the best thing.
Yeah,
Patrice was
I mean,
awesome.
look, you're in a very comfortable situation, and you've made yourself what you are. So that's something to be really,
and
heads up to you, mate.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I'm really excited to be able to hear what you had to come out, and I'm really excited that it came to the inbox, my email, and happened to spark hopefully a friendship here. Talk to you about music.
I got the spark thing just now.
Spark, yeah, spark. I didn't even do that.
You
on
said spark a
purpose.
relationship. See?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
there
knew you
go.
dropped that on purpose.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's lots more music coming.
Oh,
So let's stay in touch.
Well, yeah,
and it's been a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm really glad that we were able to figure this time thing out, and my dentist appointment didn't take over. It was great.
How was the dentist appointment, by the way?
Gotta get the wisdom teeth out. I got 2 bottom ones that are killing me. So I went to the dentist because they said luckily enough, I don't have the top ones. I just got the 2 bottom ones. So I'm just gonna do it and get it out with. Used to be really nervous about surgery, but at this point, I'd rather just get it done, get back to singing, and get back to then having pain the rest of my life for no reason. So I gotta get it done.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to you, and it's been a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and if you're ever in Connecticut, please let me know. It'd be an honor to meet you.
I will be at some point.
Yeah.
We'll be at some point.
Awesome.
So we'll let you know. Stay in touch.
We'll do.
All right.
And let
Cheers.
Let the bass player there from Sparks know I exist.
I will definitely see him next week.
Love to
So
do
I'm
like a
definitely
Sparks episode.
doing a rehearsal with him. So I will tell him personally.
Marcus Blake and him do like a Sparks episode and talk Sparks. That'd be awesome. Something different.
You could talk a whole episode about him. I mean, he's got so many bands he's played bass and session work with. Yeah. So I will let him know. All right.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Seems one day we just woke up, our youth stolen away. Searched through some old pictures, now look so dark and grey. What happened to our endless days? Drifted though they'd never fade away. Each night and day a lifetime, in our prime, never solved the crime. What happened to us? Did it happen to you? We all grew old, didn't know what to do. Never really had a clue, not a second to think it through. Saw it all around me, never thought it was me or you. We were always the same, never seemed to grow up, it's so true. Revisit memories from our past, we were just kids who grew up too fast. Didn't really have a clue, the circle of life that we all go through. What happened to us? Did it happen to you? We all grew old, didn't know what to do. Never really had a clue, not a chance to see it through. Wanna be like that silver bird, streaking across the sky. Never gonna slow down, always soaring high. Good, I'm fighting, as long as I can fly. Time is a pendulum, no need to cry. So I never ask why, oh no. Now everyone seems to have friends who are ill. Parents gone, we had to see it through. Left so fast, squandered time. A nightmare I never asked. No innocence or protection since you went away. Few more hairs turning grey. 1 second closer to the final day. What happened to us? Did it happen to you? We all grew old, didn't know what to do. Never really had a clue, not a chance to think it through. What happened to us? Did it happen to you? We all grew old, didn't know what to do. Never really had a clue, not a chance to think it through. Did it happen to you? What would I change? Did not what to do. Never really had a clue. Oh yeah, not a chance to see it through. Did it happen to you? To you? To